show back in the day when it was new. So I mean that's just I
Wait,
was more
are
I
you
was more
watching the same Shaman King? Because mine came out in 2021.
yeah. This one came out. This is the new one. There was an old one that
Oh, really?
that guy that didn't follow the story of the comic, and this one's the new one that just follow. It's they're giving the Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood treatment to this
Mhm.
show.
I like the main character.
Oh yo,
The no, not the little twerpy one. The shaman himself.
yeah yo.
Yeah, I like him. Kind of reminds me of Kino in some ways.
It's just creepy. I never noticed how androgynous he looked. I'm not even getting to that. Ugh.
Yeah, I spent a good part of the first episode trying to figure out his gender.
Well, the fact that he was wearing a shirt, open collar shirt. Well, then that doesn't really mean anything in anime. Never mind.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, I mean, he wasn't exceptionally busty, so that should give you a hit.
Well, he was also like possibly 14.
That doesn't mean anything in anime either. You know that, right?
I know, but like it just means that like he didn't have to be busty, you know.
Well, I mean, his wife, future fiance, wasn't that way, and that was a girl. Wait, she did show up at the end of episode 2, right? I must have ruined something. Crap. Hey, welcome to episode 3, season 2, Anime4ALL podcast. I may have made Jock quit. Nope, no, he didn't. Wasn't sure if I said anything that I probably shouldn't have, but
No,
this
she showed up in this episode too.
okay. Whew.
I was I was not saying anything to make you uncomfortable.
Well, you did a good job of that. But episode 3 of the Anime4ALL podcast, season 2, we're going to be talking about the latest episode of My Hero Academia. Also powdering at the end, reviewing Shaman King. Finally, episodes 1 and 2. And then we'll continue with that process next week. If the My Hero episode isn't anything substantial that we could talk about for an entire hour. So, with that being said, we're going to go on with My Hero first because that's the main topic for anybody who wants to listen to this and then leave because they don't have interest in Shaman King. Here you go. Um, we pretty
You make it
much
sound so tempting.
yeah, I'm pretty sure some guys already quit already.
I mean, everybody's butt cheeks are fully clenched right now for the Shaman King thing because you just made it like amazing.
I just like it because of nostalgia, but that's just me. I grew up at a time when that show was on Fox Kids.
What did you like
Yes,
so much about it?
I just like the idea of the spirits and shamans. I was very interested in the show just based on that because I just liked the art and how the fights went.
Mhm.
It wasn't at the time. It wasn't a typical shonen, but we're not gonna talk about that right now because we're talking about My Hero. Bless you.
Is it? Do you
Hmm?
think? When did it come out?
Shaman King.
Yeah,
I can look up that real quick.
you're not doing a very
the
good
The
job.
original run was like 98. The
1998.
Yeah, the original run was 1998.
So basically, they were just riding on the Pokemon wave.
No, this really didn't have anything similar. I mean, you can make the argument a Guardian Ghost, but other than that, they didn't capture multiple. They didn't capture multiple ghosts as far as I can remember. I don't remember a lot of the original anime because I watched it all in one go one summer, and I don't remember much of it. And
They're
the one
literally
thing
having Pokemon battles with ghosts.
I wouldn't consider that a Pokemon battle because Pokemon battles aren't as like almost killing you in this situation.
I choose you, Samurai. Yeah. Samurai uses slash attack.
No, the idea of a shaman is that they're letting the ghost inhabit their body. You can't do that with Pokemon.
They're literally announcing their attack and saying slash attack.
He didn't do a slash attack, but he didn't name it slash attack before I can remember.
Yeah, he
I thought
did.
it was a samurai who had like a samurai attacks. And I don't know if they're really yelling them or not, mainly because I think it's in their mind. I could be wrong
No,
because I know
they
Ren
were
does
saying
yell.
slash attack.
They do not say slash attack. That I do remember.
They say slash attack.
No, they don't. That I remember. This other
Oh my
spin-off
god.
this spin-off mangas of Shaman King I don't know about? What the world? That okay, that show that manga really had a I'm just looking right now. Let's see. I think was that is that the manga that I saw? Yeah, that's the manga run. Ran from 98 to 2004. Not a long run.
The power of a Shu Shaman 100% integration. I'm sorry, Chinese slash dance. He doesn't say slash attack, he says Chinese slash dance. Episode 2, around 12-minute mark, is one of the 3 or 4 times that he says Chinese slash dance out loud, announcing his attack.
I guess my question is you want to talk about this? You want to talk about Shaman King now and then wait for my hair at the end, or what? What do you want to do?
I want you to tell me that I'm right, and then we can go back over to My Hero.
I don't see this show as a Pokemon clone or anything like that because this show has different ideas altogether. That's just me, and that's just me being serious. Like I don't see any real similarities. You can make all the joke. Wait, what?
All I'm saying,
Video games, trading card game, many types of Shaman King merchandise. Wait, what? When did this? When was this a thing? Why does this thing have a? Dang, this thing must have been writing off the whole. Every show must have a trading card game thing.
yep, is riding off Pokemon.
I don't see that many similarities. The only similarities I could see is like the whole guardian ghost thing. But as far as I remember, each character who is a shaman only has has one ghost,
Hmm.
and they basically fuse with them.
That's why the other shaman's trying to get his ghost.
Yeah, but from what I remember, he doesn't get him, and he never gets him. I think at some point, I think you can
Okay, but
clearly see
if he did get him, he would have how many ghosts?
two, but I think he might have
Two.
more
Two.
considering
Now,
I'm
now, wait. Just is 2 equal to 1, or is 2 more than 1?
two is more than one. But from the way he made it seem like he wanted to steal him and
Oh,
use him himself, he
so
wanted to
he
get
would
rid of
have
Basson.
more.
He
He would
wanted
have
to get rid
more
of
than
Basson.
1 ghost.
I think he made it quite obvious that he wanted to get rid of his own ghost. If you want to like play, if you want to play that game, I think he made it obvious that he wanted to get rid of his own ghost
Then why didn't he just offer to trade ghosts instead of saying, "Give me your ghost"?
because he doesn't like Yo.
He
He
doesn't
already
know
makes
y'all.
that he already so he from the first interaction in that episode he made it clear he did not like him. He also
If
made
he was
fun of
just
him
like,
because
"Do you want to trade ghosts? I'm not using mine."
yeah, I don't think based on what I know about Yo at this point in the series, I don't think he would. Regardless, like I said before, he doesn't like him. He's already
Mhm.
made that quite clear. That he doesn't, even if he doesn't really know him all that well, based on his interaction with him, he doesn't like him. He spends the entire episode mocking him, saying, "You can't be friends with your ghost. They're just tools." He literally
Mhm.
goes the entire episode mocking him. At
I
that
think
point, I don't think
Yo's
he has
weird.
in. Dun, 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 dun.
I thought we were going to talk about My Hero Academia. Why you keep
I
getting us off topic? Hello?
I'm still here, just scratching my forehead. This is why I had a better 2020 that I had this year. That's a burn. Uh,
Oh, is that what that was? I'm not real bright, so it helps that you explain things like that for me.
On with the show. My Hero Academia. I can't say much happened other than the little bit of I guess what I want to bring up is that this episode kind of brought some light to Tokiyami. Light, ironic considering he's a shadow, but actually the other person he's fighting is a shadow too. But I guess if we get to Tokiyami, we first I think they have like a little intermission. The eraser kind of like after the fight happens, we're actually at the end. The beginning of the episodes, we're at the end of the fight that happened last episode, and
Mhm.
Eraser is giving the original Team A, saying like, "What did you do wrong?" Um, Kaminari's saying, "I was cool, I was a badass." Kirishima, like always, saying that he could have done better. He needed to bring the fight. He needs to bring the fight to an enemy because he is a barrier with super strength.
Mhm.
So like that's Razor say you need to work on being able to bring the fight to somebody if you're going to be an effective hero anyway. Um, Sue, I forgot what he says to Sue, but I feel like what he said to Sue is kind of wrong.
I did too. I didn't want to be the one to say it because I knew it would have been like, "Oh, you just like Sue."
But I mean that was just me. I feel like because I feel like she was the most effective out of the five, but maybe not. I don't know. I think he was saying that like he said that she needed to be able to
Mhm.
compensate for
He told
anything that
Kirishima
goes
that
wrong.
he should be doing head-on fights, and then he told Koda you shouldn't be doing head-on fights, which I think are both really good advice.
Yeah, I was
Because
seeing
Koda
that
should,
about of like Bug Kid, and I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure Jog was happy about that criticism.
yeah, he's not being smart. He's telling you think. He says, "Oh, that's interesting." Told Kaminari to stop goofing off so much, and then Sue, he said, "Think about how to cover for a mistake quickly, than about your mistakes." So he's basically saying, like, when you mess something up, stop thinking about the fact that you made a mistake and think about
Well,
what you can do next instead.
I
Don't
guess he's
dwell on
not.
your
I guess he's not 100% wrong because
yeah.
it was during the situation she was talking about how they were down a member, and she was constantly on about that. She wasn't wrong about it, but
Yeah.
maybe she
I
should
guess
have
it
been a
makes
little bit
sense to
more.
say
Maybe she should have been a little bit more quick on the uptake. Maybe because I don't know. I guess when who was it that got taken? Oh, Kirishima. She probably could have like because who took him?
reacted.
Oh, the beast guy. I think even if she wasn't able to fight him head on, I feel like she still could have tripped him because he was top heavy, wasn't he? She probably could
Mhm.
have used her tongue and tripped him up. Like on top of that, he wasn't the brightest tool in the shit. But crying out loud, Sue was smarter than he was. Because at half the time he was just using his sense of smell as a way to get around sneak attacks and whatnot. But it still didn't
You
help
know who else
because hmm,
you know who else is kinda top heavy though?
waiting for the segue.
So, yeah, I think you're right. I think the idea of Sue, like, not being so hard on herself in the moment, like, and saving self-critique for, like, after the fight when she has time to think about it is a smart thing, you know? If you make a mistake, don't dwell on it, like, react right away, get a good response going, minimize the damage from the mistake, and then if you wanna think about it, you can think about it later like they're all doing at the time when they're standing up in line.
I guess on that too. I just thought about this. And I never realized it because I was sitting there the entire time praising Sue the entirety of the series because she's the most well balanced hero here. But with her constantly thinking thing, that being her flaw, I do remember that point when earlier on when Bakugo got taken, and everybody
Mhm.
was like making decisions to go either to not go save him or save him. At the end of all that, when Sue was coming, was talking with Ida and everybody else like that about I guess it's one of her flaws. She takes too much time to think about something, even though it's not really a flaw. I mean, for most people that wouldn't be a flaw, but I guess in this situation we're gonna say that's her flaw.
Yeah.
Is that she takes things too hard, so too to heart sometimes, and it's to her detriment. because she is so well rounded. And she got praised a lot actually, even during her internship, she got praised a lot. And even during that point, she didn't really. I don't even know why. It's like during that internship, did she take time to think about things a lot, or was she kind of quick on her toes? Because I feel like that wasn't a thing she did a lot. I mean, she was smart, but
Mhm.
I don't think she pondered things too long. She kind of got everything and immediately started hopping into action. Haha, hopping.
Oh my god.
That was not on purpose. I kind of just realized it after the fact.
I don't know if we can be friends after that.
Oh come on, don't be green, man. That was a horrible. That was a stretch. I don't even. I don't even deserve to live with that one. But yeah, I don't know. You could make an argument that Ozawa was right and wrong in that situation. Um, in Kaminari, I guess I don't know if you could make it if you can say that Kaminari was goofing around during the situation because as you saw during the time lapses before what happened to him, he was making he was making good decisions in terms of like they already are wary of him, take advantage of that.
Yeah.
So I don't know if we could say he was really goofing around because he was making really smart decisions, really smart for him in the situation. Now, granted,
Mhm.
uh, that his electrocution attack, that pinpoint thing, that pinpoint thing, he shouldn't have waited so long to use it because they were already aware of it before he even got there.
Mhm.
So if anything, my critique for him is that he should have been a little bit quicker on the shooting because there was a hole in that net for whatever reason the Vine girl left open. I don't know why she left that portion open if she knew that he was dangerous. I mean, granted, she probably wasn't all that concerned because she was able to defend against it before, so there's no reason why she couldn't defend against it now.
Was the idea that she didn't want to smother him since they're not really playing for keeps?
I guess, but I feel like the hole was too big. I feel like she could have like if you were really trying to make sure that she wasn't trying to kill him, because I mean
Mhm.
she was going the entire episode saying, "Oh, I so think it's vile that I'm being the distraction." And I'm just like, man, she's gonna be a weird hero in the future.
Mhm.
But like, I feel like she could have like maybe there was a point even after the fact after he shot through the hole, she closed it all away. So I don't think she was concerned about smothering him. So I don't know. I feel like that was a little bit inconsistent.
Mm.
Thinking back on it now,
I'm trying to make it not a plot hole, but it does sound like a plot hole, doesn't it?
like this seems kind of weird. It's like she didn't care about it after the fact. So why did it matter before the fact? And she was already and they were already aware how dangerous he was. They were making a big deal about how dangerous Kaminari was, especially on his own. I guess another thing too that he commented is the fact that you shouldn't be you shouldn't be trying to go on your own so often. You need to be able to adapt to the situation. So I will admit that Kaminari does need to learn how to. I feel like he shouldn't need to be able to be on he shouldn't need to have to be on his own to be able to shock people without hurting his friends. And if
Mhm.
anything, if that's the case, my theory is that maybe if he is on a group, you know, he needs to have them wear insulation. So that way when he does let loose an undiscriminate shock, it won't hurt them and it would just hurt the person he's trying to hurt. So if he can't control the shock radius, at least he's protecting the people around him. Because I don't know any other way to prevent yourself. I mean, from the way his electricity lets out, it doesn't look like there's any real control to it, which
I
is
mean,
why he has.
if you radiate electricity, just wear a suit that like collects it and directs it any way you want it.
That's also a solution.
I mean, imagine if I know we're going to Marvel with that, but like imagine if Iron Man had that kind of technology, he could power his own suit. Because Iron Man's biggest weakness has always been running out of energy.
Not really, because that. Oh well, in the movies it doesn't seem like that way, but he's
Yeah,
powering
he
that
has a few
suit with
times
that.
he especially earlier in the movies before he had like ridiculous tech, like his Later in the movies, like when he's a big brawler, like running out of material was his big weakness. But early in the movie, like running out of energy was his big weakness.
I don't know because like his the that heart thing that he has on him, which is keeping him alive, was how he was powering the suit. There was like a mini
Hmm.
reactor in that thing. So I don't know if he was ever running out of power. Exit the door for instance. I
He
guess he could
literally.
argue that power was his biggest weakness.
You should
But
probably
yeah,
take my. Yeah, you should probably take my word for it. It's definitely his big weakness. But
but I guess was that they had that little back and forth. Shinzo was already analyzing his weaknesses and stuff like that. And granted, Aizawa was a little bit nicer to him, probably protege master type of situation going on there. But
hmm
he mentions that like Shinzo mentions that he wished he could have acted faster with the binding cloth. But Erisa said that if you were able to do that from the get go, he probably wouldn't have had him. He probably wouldn't have had him use it here or something to that effect. That he probably wouldn't have. This is the reason why he's here. He's here to learn
hmm
because it took Aizawa 6 years to master that binding cloth technique.
right.
So I was like, I wonder where Aizawa learned it from. Because it seems kind of weird that like that he learned it. He took it 6 years to master it, but so Shinjo's now trying to learn how to. He's trying to figure out
Unless he's
how he.
self-taught.
That's also a possibility too, but
Yeah.
probably the highest possibility. Actually, it's probably the only possibility. But unless Aizawa was inspired by a hero that used binding cloths too, I have no idea. Not much is known about Aizawa's background. Um,
Right.
but as soon as he was now trying to learn how to, I guess, use the binding cloth faster now, and everybody else is trying to, what Deku blurted out the saying, maybe we should learn, maybe we should come up with some plans to, pretty much to be able to use during the fights. And this is essentially one of Deku's Deku moments where he's like fanboying, uh, with everybody else, like trying to figure out who should do what. And we see each group a little bit. Bakugo being Bakugo's pretty much saying, "You stay out of my way. I'm gonna bulldoze this thing."
Yeah, Bakugo's not learning. That's what I'm talking about. He's not growing. I
He,
talked about that last podcast that he just seems like he refuses to grow.
no, that's just him being stubborn. No, he's learning. He's just like not taking those lessons to heart because he's trying to
Right.
compete with Deku.
Right. I don't know. Then he's not growing. Even if he's learning, he's too stubborn to grow from what he's learning.
Yeah,
He's like,
but when you have somebody who
I'm
had
gonna run in and
absolutely,
kill them all.
I mean, at the same time, like if you're trying to compete with somebody like Deku who had absolutely nothing and is already on par with you and getting stronger, you're gonna try focusing and try to get yourself stronger, regardless of any real character growth that you could be diminishing at that point.
Yeah.
On top of that, you can't expect somebody like Bakugo to change overnight. Like, I don't think there's been enough time for Bakugo's character to cool out. It's kind of the same thing with Vegeta. It took like 2 to 3 arcs after he had that little like. Well, actually, no, take that back. It took one. It took half an arc after he killed himself and then came back. But point still
hmm
stands. I think Bakugo's gonna have a lot more happen to him before he chills out because he is literally still trying to compete with Deku, and he still got a stick up his butt from his fight with Todoroki all the way back in season 2.
hmm
So he's got a lot of problems right now with his own self importance because we've already seen that his self importance is already very low. He does not value himself, which is quite funny considering how he acts.
hmm
But yeah, he has a lot of issues he needs to work with, and it ain't gonna. Deku is not gonna be the person to help him with that because we've already seen that Deku came up with that idea back when they were rescuing him. He knew calling out to Bakugo wouldn't get him to jump. It took one of his best friends to,
hmm
to do that. So if anything, it's probably gonna be Kaminari. I mean not Kaminari. Jeez, names mixed up. Uh, Kirishima to get him out of that rut, whatever that rut is. But I mean, yeah, he's. I mean, at the same time, like I still give him a pass because like he's not the main character. He's like side character, rival side character for
hmm
right now. until there's an arc that that has him as the front as the front man. I think if I remember correctly, rumors there was something happening with that too. Well, not rumors, but Google. I hate Google. So like, when it knows that I'm watching, every time I go in there is something. Hey, did you know? Like, no. Um, moving on. That was a tangent. but
It's okay.
but essentially after that, they have their little group nectar discussion, but group planning session. Then Vlad says that teams B on each side get ready to fight, and this is when we see this is Yayarozo or Creati's group and Kendo's group, and it's actually kind of funny. We get a little bit of insight going on with like why Momo, which I forgot about that, but I was actually did remember wondering. I wonder why Yaya Rosa wasn't a part of the beauty pageant, but they do kind of bring it up here. Like I wonder why she wasn't there, and Kendo asks her that, and Momo doesn't really know why because I guess I would never brought it up to her because she was too busy trying to prepare for the band. So she probably
Hmm.
figured he thought she didn't have enough time. So that was one thing. But Kendo brings up the fact that you know
I
character.
wonder if that's like a. I never thought about that. That's such a weird, unnecessary piece of dialogue. Even though like they're trying to make small talk moments for him. It's not like the series to have small talk that doesn't go anywhere. So I wonder if that ever ends up meaning something.
I think they're just trying to build up a rivalry with those two because they are by far in their classes they are the prettiest girls in their classes anyway.
Well,
And
there's
they're, and they're,
Froppy, and then we don't even know what the Invisible Girl looks like.
we know she's naked, so I don't know. I mean,
Right. People that she comes into contact seem pretty happy about it, or at least surprised.
I
It's
feel like
just
she's got to have
true.
control over her invisibility because it's just so weird. She's invisible 24/7. But they bring up they bring that up. They had a little like thing. Kendall mentions that she's happy that she wasn't there because she wants to have a proper rivalry with her, and this is like the first step towards that. She wants to be able to fight because she's never got a chance to fight her. Which actually another problem,
Mhm.
another thing too. I didn't notice this. They never fight each other, not once,
Mhm.
which is even weird because they're kind of similar to an extent.
No,
Um,
they're not. Really? How are they similar?
they in their own way like have their have other classmates flock to them. I mean, I know Kendo more so than Yagirozo, but I mean, because I could see Yagirozo if she were to grow a little bit more. I could see her being the big sister of class 1A. I could truly
Really?
see her like that because she helped them out. Like I mean, she was very happy to help out earlier on when they're trying to catch up for their exams and whatnot. She
Mhm.
uh she was very happy to help out like almost like an older sibling would if they really wanted to help out their younger siblings. She's to me that was like a very caring sister situation there. I'm not saying she's there yet, but I feel like that was like one of the situations she has characteristics that could lead to her being maybe the big sister of like 1A.
I
Um
feel like her position in life tries to force her into it. Like she has lots of resources. She has her own big mansion that she can invite them to, and things like that. Like, but she doesn't. Her personality is to be completely on her own. Every time you see her, like in her dialogue, she's like, "All right, this is on me. I'm doing this on my own." You don't see that like teamwork feeling, and you don't see that like mother hen feeling from her so much. She's
I
just
doubt
like,
she's I doubt so because like a lot of times I've seen her, she's been with some people and she's never really
but
gone out because she's always produced. Hmm?
she's always caught up in her own insecurities and her own problems too much to like be a support. Kendu like Kendu's very like confident in herself and she knows her limitations. She even looks at her and goes, "You know, my grades aren't as good as yours, my quirk isn't as good as yours, but let's be rivals." You know what I mean? That's a pretty confident way to handle things. You know, like she's just like, "Yeah, we're gonna be rivals." But like
But
the
just
other
because like,
character,
but just because she has her own insecurities doesn't mean she can't be, because like you can say
it's not with Kendu, it's not really insecurities. It's just she knows where she stands. She's like, "This That's what I got to work with, but yeah, you're right. You see her do, like, constantly, every episode, it's like the crux of her character is that she's an overachiever that she can't get over herself, you know?
Well, she also, I mean, people seem to forget this about Yaoyorozo, but she was also one of the students who was recommended by a pro hero. So she's already
Right,
got a
so
lot
even
on her
more pressure
shoulder.
on her. So she doesn't have that outward reach that makes her a big sister character, like, I would think almost any other female character right now, personality-wise, not necessarily position in the group-wise, personality-wise, almost every character has a better personality fit for big sister, like Acid Girl, I could see being a big sister, like someone that everybody goes to for emotional support because she's so accepting. You know, Uraraka has that temper, and
I
I could see
don't.
her like
I disagree with Haraka.
Uraraka has a short temper about certain things, and you know that she's like really loyal to family. And I could see her getting ticked off if somebody hurt one of her friends and like and taking the front line and being like, "You leave them alone," you know, and being the big sister in that sense. I could see, you know what I mean? Not so much Froppy, but like the other female characters all seem like they have moments where they're better suited for it than someone that's wrapped up in themselves. Like a big sister character is thinking about other people, not themselves.
I kind of disagree. I mean, not with the whole this thing in itself, because like, what I've seen from her, she's been trying to help everybody else, even with those insecurities that she does have, because typically,
Mhm,
even in a sibling relationship, I mean, I'm just saying you don't know this because you have siblings, but even if you're an older one, you still have your own insecurities, and sometimes those do take priority accidentally.
mhm.
Because I mean, during like during the provisional exam, she was trying to make sure that she was trying to calculate everything so everybody wasn't gonna get hurt or anybody wasn't gonna be. She seemed to me that she was at that point she was really trying to make sure that she was protecting everybody the best that she could,
But
even if that came
it
at the
was
detriment.
framed in the mindset of like being an overachiever, not really framed in I love these people, you know?
Sometimes older siblings can be overachievers in that regard, regardless of like how. I think what I'm saying is like I don't think a big sister type of character or a big brother type of character or like an a sibling relationship thing going on there with the older sibling is there has to always be outwardly like um what's the word like overly protective
Mhm,
to an extent, or like they have to be constantly thinking of others. It's not like I feel like in anything, like if I had to make some comparison, Kendall's probably the perfect older sister. I'd say that she's probably Yaya Rose is probably the flawed older sister,
mhm.
but they're still
You
like
see, Kenda's always putting herself out there, like when she's like managing the blonde guy that's obnoxious. She's like she'll bash him on the head and she'll speak for the group and say we don't represent what he's thinking at all, you know, or something like that, where she feels comfortable speaking for the nest, so to speak, you know. When she was teaming up in the fight against the gun guy, like she was being very selfless about it, you know what I mean, and working into this and saying like very protective of her teammate, but also in a protective way, you know what I mean, not in a heroes take care of each other way, so and I need to be a good hero way, but like actually caring about that person, you know. And there's just like a lot of moments like that where you just see her doing that, you know what I mean, like supporting them emotionally and like not just protecting them literally, but also supporting them emotionally or managing them as if they're like almost like children, you know, like or little kid siblings, you know. You don't see that with her at all. She's not a class rep. She's not. Is she a class rep?
no, that's Ida.
Yeah, that's right.
She's the
So
vice president.
Ida's like not a class rep barely at any. Like when's the last time he did something class rep like? But that's a different story. But I don't know. She just doesn't have ownership of her group in the same way that Kendo does.
Again, perfect older sister, flawed older sister. 'Cause I mean, not all older siblings are like are gonna be Kendo, for that matter. Shit, I'm not.
Mhm,
I have a little sister, but I'm like I'd say I'm probably more like Yaoyorozo than anything than I am like
mhm.
Kendo. Like that's what I'm saying. Perfect older sister, flawed older sister. They not all siblings are made equal.
Yeah,
That's the
but that being
unfortunate
said,
truth of the matter.
I don't think the other characters look at her as a sister, an older sister. Like,
Again,
who
I mean,
looks up to her?
I have to probably go back and watch the episodes again, but
Who has that kind of relationship with her where they treat her like a sister? There's a few people that treat her like friends or like one of the girls or something like that, but there's not really anyone that treats her like you're my sister.
I don't think any of the Class B like treats Kendo like that, as far as I can tell. I mean, the closest you could probably make the
Hmm.
argument is that metal dude. Who I forgot his name.
Episode 93, season 5, like a lot of people like just straight outwardly say it, but like the other examples I gave you of like when she represents the class and says we don't feel that way about this and stuff like that, like you see everybody kind of ganging up with her, and she really does represent the class, like emotionally, not just because it's her job to speak for them. You can see that she really has her pulse on the group and how they feel about situations.
I really don't know. I feel like Yarua has potential. That's what I was really getting at. She has potential to, because I mean, like the interaction with her probably do her some good. As you said before, she does have self confidence issues. I mean, anybody freaking has
Mhm,
self confidence issues. I mean, and just because she had that moment with Todoroki that helped her get over at least the first hump doesn't mean that she doesn't still have them. Because I mean, you can make the argument that some of these people should be over their problems. My argument is that Todoroki should be
mhm,
way over his issues with his father, but he's not. He's just not.
mhm,
And I don't really care about like he's had his because of the things that's had happened in his life. Like that talk that he had with Midoriya, I believe with the kind of effect Midoriya does have on people, that should have solved
mhm,
everything in my opinion. Well, not everything, but like it should have solved. It should have solved a good majority of it. He shouldn't have problems using his firepower. He should not have problems using it because
mhm,
that mental wall that he has would have gotten shattered. And Deku told him that it was his quirk. And by the way, Todoroki, that's one quirk, not two. Technically speaking, you're only using 50% of your hidden potential.
mhm. I
Because
don't think every
like
character has. I don't think every character has self-confidence issues either, though. Like, what's Invisible Girl's self-confidence issues?
that she's constantly invisible.
I mean, she's
Yeah.
so confident she literally walks around naked. And then there's like Midoriya, I think debatably doesn't have self-confidence issues.
Now I think he has self guidance because I mean he's always really trying to work that he feels that he doesn't feel that he's worthy, even though he's had several people on countless occasions. One of them, All Might, constantly telling him how worthy he is of this quirk. He's constantly been fighting that whole thing. Like, I'm
But
pretty sure
I
he's
mean,
gotten
like,
better about it, but I feel like he's still got that self confidence. Like he doesn't feel that he's worthy of this quirk. Like he has
I
to
mean,
feel like
how often does he have a speech that's basically the equivalent of "I don't care if it's impossible, I'm gonna do it anyway." You know,
yeah, but
that's like,
he's constantly trying to, even though he's already proven himself time and time again, he somehow feels like he
mhm,
has to constantly prove himself in every situation
mhm,
that he's ever in, and I find that kind of weird considering that he's already proven himself time and time again. He literally got the right before Night Eye died, got his approval. Actually, he
mhm,
got his approval like way before he died. But I mean, right then at that moment, Night Eye pretty much gave him this Midoriya stamp of approval as he died. He got Miori's approval. He got the girl with the spiral energies approval. He got emo kid. I forgot his name. Sun Eater. He got Sun Eater's approval. He got
mhm,
so many people's approval. He even got Bakugo's approval. Somewhat as a character that would have been like the hardest person to get approval from, considering
mhm,
their background with each other. Like so many people have like been so surprised like his growth and stuff like that. Like I don't know why he has to constantly feel like he needs to prove himself. And maybe there's something hidden that I'm not thinking about. But at the surface level, from what I can tell, he seems to have this confidence problem where he doesn't feel like he's good enough, he's worthy enough. Granted, Miorio, the situation with Miorio, I could understand to an extent because of how much like those two are similar. It's ridiculous, but the
Hmm.
only thing different about Miorio is Miorio was born with a quirk, and he had to make that quirk work because it was trash at the very beginning. But but he proved himself that even without the quirk, he was still strong. But it's like I still feel like Deku's is at this constant spiraling thing, and maybe it's for a lot of characters too. Like my issue to some of these characters too, they're constantly in this spiral of like I don't deserve like my biggest problem with Todoroki is that he has this issue with his father connected to his firepower. I get it, your
Hmm.
dad was a horrible person, but it's still your quirk. Use it.
Is that a self-confidence issue, or is that just him being stubborn about not accepting the fate that his father's choosing for him? If he is that him just being like, "I'm not gonna be your ego problem solution for
No, because
you," or is that
the thing is, I feel like his problem right now with his father with his fire quirk. He's past the whole um why I was created in the first place type of thing because he kind of made that quite clear when he was fighting with him when he was talking to his father for the first time in a while about how he was proud that he used his fire side. Like he said, I didn't even know you were there. I completely
Mhm.
blocked everything else around me. At that point, tells me that he's gotten over the whole why he was created situation. I feel like there's something
But I
deep in
still
his
wouldn't
mind
chalk
that
that
he
up as
doesn't.
self it's almost the opposite, it's almost arrogant that he thinks he can do it with just his ice.
Yeah, he has a lot of issues in and of itself, but I still feel like a lot of it, the crux of a lot of his issues are with Endeavor because
Yeah, but it's
he's not
I don't think it's
he's not a
self-confidence that's the problem there.
I don't know. I feel like there's some confidence there because he was about to fight Bago with full power, but he didn't. And I don't think it had anything to do with Endeavor at that point.
Yeah, and he's still won. It just doesn't strike me as self-confidence is the problem. Maybe some sort of emotional vulnerability of some sort or some other issue is leading to it, but just because he has an issue doesn't mean that that issue has to be self-confidence.
Okay, well
He
about this?
seems pretty
I just not thought
comfortable with his
about this.
abilities.
I just not thought about this. When he
Yeah.
was in that fight with his Bakugo, he was going through his mind. I feel like to me, especially when he was about to use the fire ability and when it dissipated, and the look in his eyes and like, should I be doing this? Should I be doing like I don't know, like I mean maybe that's not self confidence, maybe that's something a totally different type of situation
He
altogether.
feels conflicted, but it's not a lack of confidence.
Each character has their own problems, even if they're self confident. I'm just gonna blanket the entire situation. Each
Oh,
character
I'm
has
sorry.
their
So
own
what are Sugar
problems.
Rush's problems?
What?
What is Sugar Rush? What you said each character has their own problems. What's Sugar Rush's problems?
Sugar his power just sucks.
His power sucks, but he doesn't care. Personality wise, he doesn't have any problems.
He probably got his own problems. I mean, we haven't really been a one on one with each
You
character.
said that each character has its own problems.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he does got his own problems, but we haven't been one on one with every single one of them. I'm just assuming the
So,
characters we haven't been one on one with have their own
so you're saying
problems.
that each character has their own problems, whether we know them or not.
Yes.
So you're just, in other words, I'm right and you're wrong. That's basically what you're saying.
No, I'm just sitting there saying we don't know because there's a lot of characters still haven't been one on one with. We don't know anything about his like Sugar Rush's like personality besides that he can cook, which apparently garnered all the girls' attention, which is kind of funny. But I guess in
Mm-hmm.
Japan, girls like sweets, so they're just another one of those Japanese jokes.
Yeah,
But
like yeah.
serious Japanese joke. But I guess we're talking about characters and I guess development and problems. We kind of they start fighting. When not fighting, they start like gauging the other group's abilities and figuring things out. Uh, we kind of pan to Tsukiyomi and the other shade dude
Mm-hmm.
having a very shady discussion. But uh, saying that like we have a destiny that's intertwined with each other, kind of speaking to Tsukiyomi in his own lingo, which is kind of weird. But essentially, this guy, I forgot his name, but he can jump in and out of shadows and manipulate them to his own end.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, but essentially, what is happening? Because he was sent out by Kendo, because Yagirusa's group caught up to them. Well, the Dark Shadow caught up with them, and then Kendo sent out the Shade Dude, we cut away from them after they bounce off each other because they do like a very weird jump in the air and push each other with their feet outwards type of thing, and they disappear,
Mm-hmm.
and then Shay disappears, but we don't know what happened. We cut back to Yaoyoro's group as they're running towards them, and we see Dark Shadow running right at them. And it's like it's quite clear something's not right because Dark Shadow's saying it's not me. I had no control over this. This is probably the second most personality we ever seen out of that out of that thing,
Mm-hmm.
which is kind of funny. Um,
That thing strikes me as so odd.
what, the Dark Shadow thing?
Yeah.
And you're not wrong. It is odd. I still don't understand. I still don't know if that guy's head is a bird. From what I can tell, it's that is what his head actually is. But I still have suspicions that it's not. But
He's
maybe
just gonna
not.
pop his hat off one day and he's gonna be Krillin.
Oh dear.
Hi guys.
Oh dear.
I wish for a shadow with the Dragon Balls.
Oh dear. Um, we the Dark Shadow is attacking the group now. Midoriya is realizing everybody's like, "What's happening?" Like Midoriya says that there's not enough darkness out there for him to lose control over his shadow, and he realizes that the Shade dude has jumped inside of Dark Shadow and is controlling him. And we start having we start have like after the fact, Invisible Girl, who's along with the group, uses her light refracting ability and pretty much phases him out of Dark Shadow, making Dark Shadow weak enough for Tsukiyomi to get control back over get control over him again. And Shade Dude jumps
Mm-hmm.
into another shadow, starts running around the pipes, revealing in his own little epic monologue that he only he only interacted with Tsukiyomi to get him to think that he was truly after him, when in reality they were after Yaoyorozu the entire time. Um, which is weird in its own right. But as he's saying that, he says it out loud. Tsukiyomi is like above him, saying, "Is that right, huh?" And as we get to that point, we go back in time. We go back to season 2 in a flashback because
Mm-hmm.
I forgot he placed third. I literally forgot he placed third. We also find out who he had interned with, which was Hawks. Um, they did a good job hiding that because I completely forgot he was interning with somebody. Because he does mention he did get an offer for somebody. We didn't know who it was, but we everybody forgot he got an offer. Find out it's Hawks, and then the internship, the first invite he got, he just wanted to learn about what happened over in USJ because he was there. And then the second time was a job was like a job situation, and he was trying to keep up with Hawks because the first time he wasn't able to. And we see that Hawks is clearly faster than everybody because even his sidekicks have a hard time keeping up with him. We see that after like some training, Tsukiyama's gotten the whole over fusing thing with Dark Shadow going, so he's a little bit faster.
Right.
As the end that trip, as he's about to go home, Hawks tells him, "Do you got a minute?" And pretty much we cut to him at night flying in the sky, uh, pretty much telling Tsukiyomi that he is, his potential is very limited because of the way he's thinking. He said he's not wrong to try to cover up his weaknesses, but he also should really go all hog on what he's capable of doing, what he's 100% what he's able to do, what he's really good at doing. And essentially, Tsukiyomi ends up taking that advice and essentially learns how to fly um, with Dark Shadow. Which now I can say this in the manga that I saw this of, it looked very stupid. I can't say it didn't look any less stupid in the anime.
When he was flying?
Yes,
Uh
it made
I don't know.
sense, but
It
it
looked a
still
little
looked kind of
awkward, but it
silly.
wasn't. Yeah, it was a little awkward, but I don't think it was terrible.
I don't know. I mean, it makes sense, but I still say it looks stupid because I'm sitting here like, why couldn't he have made it so the Dark Shadow's hands, instead of him covering his hands, like just they just turned into like full on wings, like, and he could just fly that way. I mean, then again, I guess Dark Shadow needs to be able to hold him. So I guess that's the other problem.
I thought the hands were cool because he's got extra hands to fight with.
But that was Tsukiyomi's hands. The other hands on Dark Shadow were used to keep him afloat and also carry him.
Mm.
Dark like he can't for a reason. I guess Dark Shadow can't hold him in the sky, so he has to like he can't like make him float from him, which is kind of weird
Right.
considering they share a same body. You think Dark Shadow would have, considering that from what I can tell, Dark Shadow has a personality, so he isn't just a random entity that Tsukiyomi just summons out of nowhere. So you think that if he could control Dark Shadow into him, maybe Dark Shadow could control him, and maybe that'd be I don't know. It seems kind of weird with his quirk, but to me, it looked very stupid in the manga, and it didn't look any less stupid here. But at least I can tell
Mm.
what was happening because I couldn't tell what was happening in the manga. The art was very weird with it, but yeah, he's capable of flying now. Um, and he's flying after the shade dude in the pipes. So they spend the rest of the episode talking about like what happened during his internship, which I'm glad we got a chance to figure out what happened there because I completely forgot that he was in an internship. So it was kind of cool to find that out.
Yeah,
Um,
and it obviously is building up Hawks too, because Hawks is getting using him to get info about Class A, which I'm sure he's using for no good.
yeah, I still don't know where he stands because from one end it made it seem like he was betraying the heroes, but on the other hand, it looked like he was only going he was like a double back cross is what he's doing right now.
Hmm.
Like he's betraying the heroes, but he's also betraying the villains by working for the heroes. That's what I'm saying. I don't like him because I don't know where he stands. Even in this
Yeah, he's
episode, I
a
still
double
like him.
agent.
I still like him even less because like I like him even less here because it's like the other thing is I hate too is that he's so cool too. So it's like I hate him, but I think he's cool. So I have this really weird inner conflict. Look, I hate that he's cool, but he's cool, and I hate him because of of what I've seen at this point. Um, so I don't know what is going on. Like, I really doesn't like his character. That's why, if you want to know why, when I was first talking about Hawks all those podcasts ago, how I said I didn't
Hmm.
really like him, that was the reason. I couldn't figure out where he stood. Because even if you take away, even if you take away that he's working for the heroes, in lots of monologues that he has with himself, like he just wants to get out of the hero business. He was only dragged into it because of how much potential he had. He wants to be. I think he mentions that he wants to be able to get to a point where he's a popular hero, but he has the least to do.
Hmm.
So I don't get him. I really don't get him. In a
And
world,
yet he's the number two.
yeah, in a world that in a world that has all these people who want to do good and want to be a hero, he's the one guy who's number two, but he really just wants to do absolutely nothing because he views the heroes as useless people. It's quite clear in that statement that he doesn't like the fact that the popular heroes um pretty much don't really have a lot to do because considering that, granted, it's a lot of All Might's fault because All Might's kind of been all over the freaking place, putting people in jail when he was active. But it's even kind of funny too that he feels that way. But he says that he doesn't have the presence like that All Might or Endeavor have to be number one. And and we can even see as a kid he had an Endeavor doll, so he was definitely a fan. So it was one of those things like I don't understand what his situation is. I don't understand where he's coming from. It seems like
Hmm.
all over the freaking place. I just don't like that. I just don't like that. I don't know where he stands. Every other character, I can gauge where they stand. Him I can't, and that's a problem for me. Cause
Right.
that's how I gauge if I like a character or if I want to stick with a character long enough. For right now, he's in limbo until I can figure out what's going on with him. But yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with him, and I think that's pretty much the episode. I didn't watch the preview. If you did, you can probably talk about what you saw because I didn't see it.
I did. Hang on a sec. I'm just peeking at the moments from the rest of the episode, see if I can think of anything else that you're not saying.
I'm pretty sure there's a lot I'm not saying.
I love the battleground, just in general. Like the way the pipes and everything in this world is usable by so many different variations of quirks that we've seen so far.
I mean,
I
yeah,
think that's really appreciated.
they're training everybody to be able to be a hero. It depends if they go that
Mhm.
route.
this team works better than the other team. As a group, they've been working a lot better. They operate smarter, and they seem to have some strategies in place for specifically fighting shadows. Like they were able to just call out what they needed to do, and they each seem to have some
I,
either shadow ability or some way to fight the shadows, and
I
that was
will
really cool.
I will admit that honestly, I did forget something that I forgot to bring up. Now I thought about it. It's how the fight kind of comes to a close in the first half, and it's
Hmm.
dealing with Fungus Girl. But I will admit though, when I first saw that Tsukuyomi and this other Shadow dude was in there, I was like, this is gonna be a Shadow versus Shadow fight, isn't it? It really
Yeah,
wasn't. It really wasn't. He stayed close to the chest. He made sure he did his job by manipulating and making sure that he took the pressure off of Kendo, so she could do what she needed to do in the background with everybody else.
right.
Even the Fungus Girl, she was able to Bruce Kendall told him everything that was going to happen. And I guess it's one of the things that makes Kendall a little bit better as strategist. She knows how Yaya Rose is going to act and how she was going to plan, how her plans are going to work out, which is kind of weird that she has this ability to see that far in the future. So far, in
Yeah,
fact, that after the Shade Dude loses his edge, he ends up getting them to follow him into a very closed off portion of the map, only for the Fungus Girl's spores to start popping up all over them. And that was a part of the plan too. He made it seem like he was caught, but in reality, he wasn't.
yeah.
So I mean, that was one of those things. Like I feel like almost for certain, Kendo's gonna
He,
win this. Is gonna win this fight, hands down. She's gonna win this fight.
I wouldn't mind seeing that. I think it'd be really cool, and somebody's got to win at least one of these for Class B because Midoriya is going last, so obviously he's gonna be the tiebreaker. Because why would he not be the tiebreaker?
Mm.
So we're gonna have to see the other teams. They're gonna have to have like win and lose fairly evenly matched so that Midoriya can be the tiebreaker at the end. Whatever team's going last is obviously going to be the decider. They're not going to be like, "Oh, we won 3. Let's see if we can get 4." You know.
You never know. My hair has done things unconventional. You never know.
Yeah, I guess that like maybe an outside
The funny
disaster
thing
could
is,
make.
I've read up past this point to a certain point, but I don't remember any of it. So I don't remember. I remember one tiny detail, but I don't remember how this entire thing ends.
Yeah,
So it's up in the air for me right now. I don't know. I don't even know how it ends. This is one last bit of information that I do remember that I'm keeping in the back of my brain because I really want to talk about it when it comes up. But other than that, like I don't really have much. Like I don't remember much about how this fight goes. I don't even know if Kendall does win this one because, like I said
I
before, Team B's got to win, and I feel like with what they're doing right now, it's setting Kendall up to be the winner.
I think it would be great if they did. Another just more of a side note thing. Um, I feel like a lot of the characters in this are inspired by like other series, like we were talking about. The guy from the last one kind of reminded me of Sasquatch. The shade guy kind of reminds me of Alice in Wonderland style art. Um, if you look up Batman animated series and you look at the Mad Hatter, the grin on the Mad Hatter is really similar to that guy's facial expression. And I also got like Cheshire Cat feelings from it, like how Cheshire Cat fades into nothingness and like becomes invisible, but all that's left is the smile. When this guy melts into the shadows, a lot of times you can see his smile, and there's like that Cheshire Cat kind of Alice in Wonderland feeling to his art style that I thought was really something I appreciated.
I get the Cheshire Cat vibe from him, but like I don't remember much about Mad Hatter. He wasn't one of the villains I really liked anyway from the Batman's world, but eh.
He always had that same smile. The Mad Hatter in Batman the Animated Series always had that giant, big, toothy upward smile in the exact same way. And little white eyes, white beady kind of eyes. No other animated iteration of it except for the Batman animated series, and even then, the early artwork because they change artwork style in the last season, and then he doesn't look like him anymore. But I think they were probably drawing that version of the Mad Hatter with a Cheshire Cat smile anyway. So I think you probably just fall back to the Cheshire Cat in general from Alice in Wonderland.
I
But I
mean,
thought
as
that
to
was
this
a
whole
really
this
cool.
homage thing, I mean, there's a lot of Star Wars references throughout my hero anyway with street names, I mean, and
Hmm.
it's no secret that Japan likes Star Wars. So I mean, and I'm pretty sure they pulled some stuff around. I mean, a lot of people made the comparison of Todoroki with Zuko, but the creator said he never it was either that he never heard of Zuko or that no, he wasn't based on Zuko. You
Hmm.
can make the comparison that where the burn mark was and everything, and the problems that they had with their father. It just makes it seem similar to an extent, even if it wasn't. And I feel like a lot of these things are unintentional, and it just because the Western audience is comparing things to things here, it's gonna come off like that. Huh? I wonder if he knew about this guy or not. Type of situation.
I mean, it's a stretch, but it does it seem like a thousand? If you start thinking about that guy as like Cheshire Cat inspired, is it 1,000% a coincidence that one of his buddies is a mushroom character? Like, I might be stretching it way too much there, but I mean,
I'm not
Alice in
saying. I mean,
Wonderland.
all I can say. I mean, I know there's like. I mean, a lot of manga creators in Japan won't ever admit if there was really an inspiration to something unless they really want to. Unless they really want to say that there's an inspiration. But like I said
Yeah.
before, there's a lot of coincidences sometimes with certain people when they make certain things. And I'm not sitting there saying that like there's no way that Cheshire Cat didn't have any influence or even Mad Hatter for that matter. Um,
Mm.
but I feel like if it was a Mad Hatter inspiration besides the face, I think he would have given that guy a top hat. And who knows? Maybe there was some like past iteration of that character shade that we don't know of because on the Wikipedia they actually show you various designs of certain characters before they got their final design. There's a
That's
possibility
interesting.
maybe there's a possibility that maybe there was a previous design of this character that maybe had a hat, and that might prove your point there. But as far as like the street names of Star Wars, that was pretty much. I mean, he never confirmed anything, but I can tell that there's no way Tatooine Street. There's no way it came up with that name by yourself. That is not a coincidence. That was taken from Star Wars. I mean, even the Godzilla fight they had in the first episode, that was definitely an inspiration was the Godzilla series, but that was a Japanese Asian thing. I don't want to say it's a
Mm.
Japanese thing, Asian thing, Asian thing. But first up on any
Although I
toes.
think Godzilla might be a Japanese thing. I think that might be fair.
It could be, but I don't want to say this or that because some people could take things saying, "Oh, he said this. This is what he meant." Like, no, I didn't.
Right.
But you said you were scrubbing through the series episode. You see anything?
No, just the other thing was the uh the mushroom character seems like she's going to be a big part of the second phase of their attack. I think it's really interesting to see the level of experience that they're bringing to the battle. They're completely owning the environments, um, owning the shadows, and now she's going to spread everything with mushrooms. And I think that basically taking over the environment with her mushrooms now and like creating like whatever that's going to do. I'm sure that it does something with involving spores or hallucinogenics or something,
I mean,
but I think it's
think
kind of
I think the main
I
reason
think it's
they're owning them. Oh, continue.
mm, I think it's cool that they're making the arena like become their home team advantage like that. And the only reason they were able to disrupt the shade guy was because they like disrupted the home team advantage, which was okay for a bunch of characters that happen to have a good answer to shadow and light. Even Cready could have created like some sort of mag light from her, you know what I mean, or a searchlight or something from her stomach and shown it on. So they all had an answer to shadows, but like what answer are they going to have to mushrooms everywhere? They're not. You know what I mean? They don't have an control the error option except for Cready that has an answer to literally everything.
That's true. I think the main reason why I think they're kind of doing it is I think it's one of the things where it's like in the very beginning of this before this arc even started with the first fight, they mentioned that class 1A their advantage is that they've had their studies interrupted on several occasions, and they got like on the field experience. And for a lot of the series, the biggest like the biggest note that was ever stated was that Class 1A has had a lot of opportunities to like have like on the field hero work, but unfortunately that's kind of been at the detriment of their school studies. 1B on the other hand, they haven't had anything interrupt their school studies, not even one thing. So I think it's one of those things where I think it's showing that they had time to be able to go over the material and actually learn it and absorb it more so than Class 1A. And at first, you probably wouldn't think that wouldn't be able to that wouldn't have much of an effect on them. That wouldn't have much effect on progress. Pretty much you would think that physically doing something would actually be a lot better for you in the long run. But I think it's like it's one of those things where showing that you could be a physical learner or you could be a book learner and you still come out at the end. Because they even said, I think at some point, someone mentioned that they've been working on their quirks too. They've been like working on pushing their quirks to a certain point too. So I think it's one of those things where it's a combination of that. They had a different experience going to UA than everybody else did, and they're trying to like prove that they're not gonna be the butts of the jokes. They're not gonna be the jokes of the school with 1A being the winners and whatnot. They're proving that they really want to be able to outshine them, even if they are on good terms with everybody. Well, except for the guy who talks too much, but everybody seems to be friends. Everybody seems to be friends with each other, but they want to prove that just because we're friends doesn't mean I don't want to beat you or be better than you.
Yeah.
So
Which is a
I
very
think
common theme. Let's both kick ass and see which one kicked the most at the end.
so it's kind of showing that they're definitely like really it's situational as you said before. It's really just a battleground. It's being really good for them right now
Yeah. I want to
because I mean
see
both of them, the Shade
Kendo
Dude
and
and her, needs to be in close spaces anyway for them to be effective. What are you saying?
said I want to see Kendo have a new ability come out. I want to see because they keep talking about how everybody has new abilities in Class B. I'm really curious what Kendo's, if any, that she'll come out with.
Make even bigger hands.
I mean, maybe. Or
I'm sorry, I just had to because I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think. It's like if anything, she could be like Gigantor, and she just learned that she can make other parts of her bigger. She learned she can make herself bigger. I don't know because one
that
of
would
those
be
things where
interesting.
because it's one of those things where a lot of these characters learned that sometimes what you think your quirk is like only capable of doing isn't 100% true. Sometimes you gotta think outside the box for your quirk to be able to function as 100% effectiveness.
Right.
I think the Invisible Girl, for instance, is like she thought she just was invisible and that was it. She learned that she can redirect light. So it was one of those things like, she just had to look deeper in her quirk to find out what else she could do.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things like maybe I don't know, like I don't know what else she like. I don't know what else she could do. It'd be kind of cool that she could somehow make other people smaller or bigger. Like maybe like, granted that probably a stretch because that means like how would they do it? The best way I could think about doing that for her is like she has like a radius that she has to imagine, and the people have to be within that box, and then anybody in that box that she makes, she can shrink and enlarge on a dime. But that would mean like her quirk would have to be effective on not on her but on the person. But I don't know how she would do that, if at all possible, if she could do that.
Yeah.
Which is a stretch, by the way. I don't know, so I really don't know.
Honestly at a loss. Like, part of the reason I'm looking forward to this is because I can't think of what they would do with their power to make it more valuable. I mean, it could just be something she does with her hands. Like maybe she picks up the Hulk clap or something. Where she claps her hands together and creates a sonic wave. Like maybe the physical manifestation of her quirk is not like affected, but she learns something new to do with it. Or maybe it's just something as simple as like she's created her own form of like martial arts or something. But whatever it happens to be, I think it'd be really cool to like see how that manifests because she could use a little bit of a power glow up, and I'm kind
Well,
of
I mean,
rooting
she's the
for her.
only character that we've actually seen in combat. Her and her Tetsu and I think his name was Momo. The guy who talks too much. Um,
Yeah.
I think that's the only. They're the three people we've only seen in combat. Well, besides the
Well,
Vine Girl
we
too,
saw a
we've
lot
seen
of them
her.
in the. Yeah, I was gonna say we saw a decent amount in the tournament, like even in the battle royales and stuff.
I don't know. A lot of those characters seem new. Like that
A
Pony
lot of
Girl,
these
for instance.
characters seem new.
That Pony
Um,
Girl that's in there. I don't think I saw her at all. Um, That fungus girl, I know I haven't seen her.
The one with the
Uh,
Lego head doesn't seem familiar to me.
the manga dude we have not seen. The guy with the comic book face. Like, I think
Yeah.
there's a fairly amount of characters we have not seen. They might have been there, but we've not seen them.
Yeah, or
Um,
maybe we saw them for like 2 seconds running in the initial race or something and
like a
didn't
lot of we don't
realize
know
it,
what they're
but
capable of doing.
exactly.
So even if they could be improving their quirks, like we don't know what they're capable of doing to begin with. That girl with the scales, we don't know what she. We don't. I don't think she might have been in the race. I just don't remember her, but I don't think I ever saw her fight. Uh, and I think she's supposed to be in Class 1B. She was the one who got recommended from a pro hero. I think I don't know. Um, I could be wrong about that. I think they do. I think Class 1B does actually have recommended students from pro heroes. I think. And if they do, they don't mention them. But Class 1B is like the one class that they always seem to pair up with 1A anyway. So they have to be formidable in some way. But I guess with that, we can, I guess, end the topic discussion of this. I guess I was wrong that we didn't have much to talk about on this episode because we talked about it for almost an hour.
Yeah.
So I was wrong, and I will gratefully take that L. I guess quickly, well, before we hit 2 hours there, we'll quickly go through Shaman King because it was already made
Okay.
obvious that you don't have an interest, you don't really have much of interest in it, but you'll watch it to see what's happening. Um,
I haven't made up my mind. There was some things like the initial hit of the animation style. I was like, "Oh no, I hope this whole thing isn't like this with the weird foreheads and the creepy looking man babies and stuff like that." And then they seemed to settle down the animation style a little bit after that, and I didn't mind it as much. But there was a few little like twists and turns like that that threw me off.
um, I'd like to welcome the 10 people, the 11 people that that just came in here.
Did we get
Welcome
rated?
to the podcast. So they Cannibal Cat. Oh jeez, I butchered your name. Sorry, butchered that name, Cannibal Cat. Well, welcome. And yes, Bar. There are no weird foreheads. They came in at the wrong time when you were saying that. I mean, you got to keep in mind though, like Jock, with this series, this
Yeah.
is a reboot of a show that came out like years ago. So there are gonna be things in it that are just that you don't see in anime today because it's a reboot of a show that came out a long time ago.
Well,
Um,
even then, like I was just so turned off by the initial set of animation from it. It really does hit you hard and not consistently with the general look and feel of the anime after the first 5 minutes.
Another thing too about this anime, I think this was during a time when like animes like to shock you, like do like quick
Mhm.
shocks to you. Because I know another anime that does this, which is, and it was jarring at first, but then it got cool. Was a show called Yu Yu Hakusho, which I mentioned this to you before. Um, that anime starts off not how you think it's gonna be. It pretty much starts off like a slice of life. The main character gets run over by a car, and all of a sudden you're thrown into a spirit world where you're killing demons and solving mysteries.
Yeah.
It's a
I
180.
mean, a lot of animes do this where they, like, just start you off with something that's just specifically designed to throw you off balance. Even Trigun, episode 1 of Trigun really throws you off too, don't you think?
I hate you bringing this up because I don't remember much.
Episode 1 of Trigun is like this nobody knows who he is, and it's like, "Blah," and he's, like, running around, like, making a maniac out of himself, and it looks like they never give you really any substantial hints that there's anything else. Like, later, you know what's really going on, but, like, in this, you're just like, "Oh my god, this is the stupidest, goofiest, like, slapstickiest anime I've ever seen," and you have no idea how serious, you know what I mean, and tragic the tone is gonna be by the end of the series, but
I guess with tones, if we're gonna talk about tones, actually, is
like, I almost didn't make it past episode 1 of Trigun because it was so raucous.
jeez, but talking about like Shaman King, like it had a really semi dark beginning because I will admit this, there are things I do remember about certain characters and relationships and whatnot, such as well, the very first episode we were welcome to a birth, um, and it's like a typical birth, um. It's a birth about bringing the Antichrist into the world, which is what I am equating all that what happened in there to. Um, First they say that she's only giving birth to one kid, and there's some people some of the shamans are saying that there was some like there was some like end of days coming, and this woman was going to give birth to an evil entity of a soul is what I believe what they said that was coming back to life, and she was giving birth to it. She gave birth to it, and the baby, well, not the baby, the spirit attached to the baby started talking as if it was the baby itself, which is very confusing and very creepy. By the way, I think this is probably the first show in a long while where babies were creepy. So,
The baby is extremely creepy. It's got like its
so
eyes are like
which is
giant ass
hello.
marbles, and its head just barely covered by its lids. It's got like Family Guy baby eyes.
Well, I think the baby talk. We just lost two viewers.
Oh,
Moving on. But yeah, but then the baby ends up flying off saying that thank you for giving birth to me. I will come back to kill you, blah blah blah, yada yada. Then we find out that she was giving birth to twins, and the other baby came out. They brought birth, and they were this older man that was saying that we need to kill him because he could also be evil too. But she said that no, he's gonna be the light that saves us all. Um, we don't know what happened there because they cut off from there. We don't know what happened to the two children. We know one of them is out there by this point in his teens.
I mean, I
Um,
feel like it's not a coincidence that these two good and evil characters in the series are about the same age, look sort of similar to each other, and one's good and one's evil. So I imagine that that's why.
I'm gonna just say this right now. Like, if you're expecting new ideas, cut that out.
What do you mean new ideas? I'm saying that it's
No,
they
what I'm
set up
saying is
two
that I guess if
characters.
you're expecting because stereotypical stereotypes, I think this anime, if I remember correctly, is very stereotypical. Like, I mean, good and
Uh,
evil twins and whatnot. I don't think there's gonna be. I could be wrong because I don't know what happened in the original story. All I know is what
mhm.
happened in the anime that first came out in Fox Kids all those years ago. And
Right.
that
We have a good character set up by the end of episode 2. We have a good character set up and a bad character set up. They're both shamans. Um and they fight each other, and they're both surprised by how powerful they are and how one's making good work and one's making evil work, and that's about it. So obviously they're the babies. It just doesn't seem
I
like
don't
it could be
think
anything else.
Ren I don't think Ren, that guy you see in the fight in episode two, is the baby that was here. Because like
The
Ren
baby that
isn't
was what?
Ren. I don't think Ren, the guy you saw in episode two, is the baby that we saw in episode one. Because Ren doesn't look like anything like yo. They look vastly different. Actually, Ren looks Chinese. If you really want to get specific,
Well, he has a Chinese ghost.
but I think he's supposed to be Chinese.
But I mean
I think
that
even his
definitely
name
brings
isn't.
up
I
are
think
you
his. Hmm?
are you familiar enough with Asian history to know the rivalry that exists between China and Japan?
I know they don't like each other, but I don't know the specifics.
They have I know at the very least because I had a friend that was throughout college. I'm still friends with her, but especially throughout college, I had a friend that was Chinese, and one day, like I was showing her an anime, and she just blew up on me and went on this big rampage about the Japanese. And she ended up once she calmed down because she had like a temper that I only saw like 4 times in the entire 20 something years that I've known her. But that was one of the times. And like she gave me a bunch of things to look up, like the rape of Nanking. And basically, from China's perspective, Japan was basically Hitler. Like that's the Asian Hitler was like Japan's forces. Um, and they went into Nanking and did like a surprise attack on it, and they were like throwing babies up the air and catching them on knives, and something like tens of thousands of women were raped and things like that. And that's why they call it the rape of Nanking, because Nanking was the city that they swarmed over.
Mm.
Um, and there's a huge angsty history that's still pretty fresh, in the same way that Hitler comes up a lot, in the US, with them, and like the same type of rivalry that we had with Germany, even though we're kind of pretty unreasonably good with Germany right now, and Japan for that matter. Considering Pearl Harbor, like China and Japan never really forgave each other, and they have a lot of anger about bad blood between the two of them. If you've ever seen the movie Grave of the Fireflies by Studio Ghibli, like there's a lot outlined in there about Japan during that war, because that takes place during World War II with Japan. Most of that fighting was like between Japan and China. But anyway, I think that historical context is extremely important here, because we have a um, a Chinese ghost fighting a Japanese ghost, and they're opposing warrior types that have fought each other on the battlefield many,
Well, I
many.
mean, I also want to bring up the fact that those two ghosts come from different eras. I want to say I think Amidamaru is older than. Well, I forgot his name. His name Basara? I forgot his name.
That's pretty close if it's not it.
They come from different eras. I believe he is young. Wait, no, because China is an old country. So maybe Midamaru is the younger one. I
Mm.
think. I don't know. I know they come from two different eras though, because like them fighting wouldn't be possible considering that he's a warlord and he's a samurai.
Yeah, but yet what they represent. Do you know what I mean? There's a very yin and yang feeling about about the idea of China and Japan being at war with each other in this anime, that would have a lot of significance to a Japanese audience, that unless you have at least an inkling of that history, it would be lost on an American audience. So I felt like that also was kind of bringing up their rivalry. And I hate to use the term racism here, but like setting up the Antichrist as taking a liking to Chinese characters, possibly being raised in China, and having a Chinese warrior looking over him as his little angel over his shoulder, with the other character having a Japanese quote unquote protector slash angel on his shoulder.
Quick question.
Mm.
I guess my question for you is, why are you so sure that Tao Ren is Liz Foden? Why are you sure that Tao Ren is the twin baby that was given birth? Because like they don't look at all similar.
They're about the same age. They could be fraternal twins. Um, it doesn't necessarily. There could be a plot twist that we're going to find out later on why they don't look alike. Maybe they two parents or something. We don't know yet. But the plot line is like so set up for them to be
Yeah, but those
the two
babies looked
original twins.
similar though. They actually looked similar. They were twins. They even
Yeah, but
I forgot
if one
what.
went to China and was raised there, and the other one stayed in Japan,
But yeah,
and they had completely different.
They wouldn't change facial orientation. They still looked alike. The only thing that'd be different is just the clothing and how they spoke and how they, and how they handle themselves. They wouldn't look physically different.
Trying to see a picture of them during the battle so I can see them up against each other side by side. See how drastically different they look from each other, but I'm guessing being the Antichrist would have at least some impact on your physical appearance. Help if I was on the right episode. I'm sitting here like coursing through episode 1.
Cause Tao Ren, and then Yo's last name is Asakura.
It just seemed like a really fundamental plot point.
I mean, yeah, but I don't think
Their
they're dealing with that
personalities
right
are
now.
such polar opposites, even with like how ambitious they are. And then later in episode 2, you see him hanging out with the father character. So I would think the good one is at least the good one, given that the father character, like that was in the original series, is training him and older, and has been trying to train him for 4 years, even though he has no idea what's going on. And the guy's really frustrated because He's supposed to save the world, I imagine. I mean, they don't look crazy different. I'm looking at them next to each other right now. It's not like they're drastically different.
I mean, I'm looking
They
at
have
both of
different.
them right now, and they're different enough to the point that they can't be siblings.
They've got a similar skin color. They have a similar build. They have a similar age. They have a similar height. Um,
Plus, their names are
I
completely
mean, they
different.
have
I think
different
Tao
haircuts.
Ren's a Chinese characteristic too. I think you wrote that in Chinese actually.
Exactly. So if he was raised in China, like that could be part of the thing that makes them oppositional to each other.
Okay, I
I
mean,
don't
I
think
was
they
trying
look
to
so
prevent me
different
from
to me.
having to say this. I know they're not. I know for a fact they're not siblings.
Okay, then I have to take your word for it.
I was trying to prevent myself from having to say that. I was
Okay,
because
I mean, I believe it,
they don't look
but
similar at all. That's the thing about it. Because Ren, his eyes are yellow.
okay, but he's also the Antichrist. If he was, he's got Sith eyes.
He's not the Antichrist. Another thing, another thing too. In this, in the opening, you see those two friendly with each other by the end of the opening song. Like, it's quite clear that they're friends. I mean, even a little bit before that, when they stand together, they're like he's helping them out. Like they don't stay enemies for long,
Okay,
according to that intro.
so they're just kind of like rivals.
For the time being, yes.
He's pulling a Goku on him, saying, "Oh, I see good in you," like Goku did to Vegeta.
Another thing too,
I,
if he happened to be the twin, you think Ren would have brought that up in their confrontation. He wouldn't have kept that secret.
they don't necessarily know who each other. If they're twins and they were separated by different countries, they wouldn't necessarily know each other.
And what does Yellow Eyes got to do with the Antichrist, by the way?
Well, it's just a like it's very common in anime for a character's eyes to change once they go evil, like usually to red, but it's not unheard of for an evil character to have an eye color change.
I mean, even amongst all this, I just know they're not related. They don't look alike. If anything, I think Ren's skin tone is a little bit pinker than Yo's. If anything,
Okay, if you say so.
I mean, look at the wiki. So I don't know what they've been doing in the Yeah, his name is Basan. That's the name of his.
I mean, if you happen to know, then the argument's over. Like, I can't, I can't argue with that.
I'm just trying to refresh my memory on a lot of this stuff right now in terms of what I do know about characters in that story. I can see arguing like maybe they sent him away, but the thing is though, like I mean, when that baby disappeared, it disappeared of its own volition. It didn't just get sent off.
Okay, and it went to China. I mean, it's just not impossible. That's all. If it went somewhere, it went somewhere, right? So, just why not China versus anything else?
I mean, I guess actually, we get what's the creator's name? Anyway, I never knew this. Now I always assumed the creator of Shaman King was a female, but I think I might be wrong on that one. I never looked this up. I need to really look this up. I need to know what that name is. I never did learn this. Manga is written and illustrated by Hiroyuki Takai. Oh, I thought this person was born in the 1990s. I was like, that's not possible. We have a kid that was born in 1990s.
Maybe the kid is the
Oh,
Antichrist.
oh
Just
dear. Oh wow, this person's 48 years old.
cool.
See, apparently this person's taking inspiration from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Never seen that. Blade of the
True.
Immortal, Hellboy. I do remember that he liked Hellboy or something like that. I do remember that. Was it a he or a she? Hold on. Created by early his career. So it's a guy. Okay. Why did I thought it was a female? Whatever. Glad I got that solved. Male,
Mm.
male creator. Don't know why I thought babies are babies. They all look the same to me. Wow.
Wow.
Well, I guess with that, guess to sum up all that happened there, very beginning episode, we see the end of the world being born into the world, disappears. We cut to a few years later, the twin of the evil baby is now looks like sounds like he just moved to that city that the guy he meets, Oyamada, the small man baby that you say you have problems with.
Mm-hmm. The
I'm not gonna
worst.
lie, he's very short and does have a big head. I'm not gonna lie. I will say that I will have to agree that his design did kind of weird me out. But it's Japan, so I mean, hey. But parents cram school, which by the way, get to how old this show is. Cram school still a thing. Uh, he's coming back from cram school. He's running late, trying to get to the train. Goes to the graveyard, knows he shouldn't go through there because of the rumor of ghost. Runs into our main character, who's pretty much saying, "Why don't you stay a little bit, look at the stars with our friends?" And he's like, "Friends, you're here alone." All of a sudden, the entire graveyard lights up with dead people. The
It's
ghosts
interesting how
did.
people seem to know that he can see them.
No, they
Like
don't
the way
believe. The people around them don't believe in ghosts. That's why
no,
it
no,
was so
no, no.
hard
The
for.
people that can see ghosts seem to know that he can also see ghosts. We saw two examples of that where like it just seemed like they just knew that he could see them. It's you can argue that that's not true and make a really good case for it, but it seemed to hint that people that can see ghosts know when other people can see ghosts.
I was gonna say it's probably just a shaman thing, but no, because Yamada isn't a shaman. So
I was
but
guessing that like if you have the potential to be a shaman.
I guess I don't remember any if um any if he does have any potential in the series. 'Cause I don't remember. I feel like he
Hmm.
was just there, if I remember correctly about him.
They identify him as like special for being able to see them. So
Well, I
even
mean,
if he
Yo says
doesn't
that if
use
you can
that
see ghosts,
potential,
you're not a bad guy, which isn't really true because we know the original twin baby that he doesn't know about. No, he knows about him. Does he?
I don't know. He doesn't.
I'm gonna assume he doesn't know
He,
because he doesn't mention him. Because he also
he
mentions the
doesn't
fact that
seem
he.
like the type of person that talks about anything that he doesn't like.
This is true. This is the type of guy who doesn't really care for much at all. Uh,
Hmm.
he wears goggles. He
Carefree.
wears headphones. Yeah, carefully. He wears headphones. Listen to music half the time. It doesn't seem like he's really ever present. But we learned from Yamada. I think that's the reason. Like he has to do that so he can let Ghost. He can let Ghost possess him.
But at the
Because
same time, he doesn't seem to mind it.
well, of course not. He's a shaman. I think he when he first met Oyamada, he made it very clear that he doesn't mind being in grave sites and
Mm.
whatnot. He seems to be the least a bit concerned about mortal life, and in the sense of like everybody else's. It's like he's more concerned that it's about helping his friends, quote unquote, the ghost that he's there to help pass on to the afterlife. Which by this point we also know that apparently people in this world believe in that because we wouldn't be talking about it in the show. So that's the other thing. Uh pretty much at this point Yo doesn't have a Mita Marvel yet, but he does they also they make sure you know that Mita Marvel is in that graveyard because they show you his gravestone, which you don't know is his gravestone until much later. When the guy with the pompadour hair ends up uh I think he throws soda on him, and Yo Prince comes back and says that I have a friend who wants to talk to you. Lets him possess me. Looks whoops his butt, rips his hair off, cuts his hair off, I should say, and he ends up running away. Which I think that's a running gag at some point, but I don't remember.
It would be fun if it was.
I think he does constantly lose the tip of his hair. But yeah, he does come back. I remember that if I remember correctly. Um, not sure when, but I think he does come back. But that
Okay.
pretty much like ends we get to the end of the episode, and he wants me tomorrow to accompany him. Minamaro says that he would like to, but he's waiting. He made a promise to a friend back when he was alive. He's going to keep his promise.
Yeah,
Actually,
episode one seems like it's a lot of just like universe building, like where this is how spirits work, this is how a shaman works, this is what a shaman is, and this is the property of that protagonist character that we seem to be following, the obnoxious blonde-haired kid. But it seems like it's just basic universe building in the first episodes. Like we're not really even
I can definitely tell you really not
setting up.
gonna like this character.
Yeah, the they're setting up the universe, but like the conflict is set up in the second episode. They just want to show that he's competent in the first episode, give him like a jabroni, someone easy to beat so that he can demonstrate his power.
If
And
there's anything I want to make a comparison to, it's like Yo is actually a lot like Goku, but
mhm.
just way more toned down. Like he is like this is Goku if he was high. I think it's the best way to put it. He is very laid back.
He
Like
is.
this is Goku if he was high, and the next character we get introduced is Vegeta if he was on crack cocaine. I don't know. I really don't know.
Mhm.
Like he's very uptight.
Vegeta on like espresso.
Oh dear. Didn't get Team 4 star. Why can't you give us Vegeta on an espresso?
It'd be so wonderful.
But continuing on, next episode after we have this entire situation, I pretty much to end it, cap it all off. Minamaru managed to keep his promise because Yo ends up finding the ghost of his friend who is ironically tethered to the school because of the sword, the broken hammer. I mean, that's in the school. I guess is their like symbol for their school. I guess I don't know why it's there, but it's there. And Yo has apparently been keeping note of that. Somewhere to the point where ends up going back, ends up letting him possess him. He finishes the sword, ends up giving it to Minamaru, who takes the spirit of the sword and adorns it to his side. So I think Minamaru just kills the sword. I guess that's what happens there.
Yeah, it
Pretty
looks
much
like he
giving.
goes and builds a sword together and brings it up to him and says, "Here's your sword." And I like that he sort of saves a soul there, and then you see all the other souls floating around, and you're like, "Wow, he's got a lot of work to do to save all these souls."
Yeah, fortunately, he doesn't send any more souls to the afterlife.
Not so far, but I mean, one in an episode is pretty good, and the other soul's going to be saved when he dies. Like the other guy looks like once he dies, he's got nothing that he needs to do in this world, so he'll be saved. So he saved one, and he's banked one to save later after the guy helps him. I think that's a pretty good start.
I'm sorry. I'm just thinking I got two souls to save, but one of them is in the bank because I need to use him to become Shaman King.
Yep.
What?
That guy waited 600 years. He could wait a little more.
That's so stupid. But yeah, he ends up becoming his guardian spirit. So
Yeah,
they
and
managed to
apparently, it
form.
doesn't take much to die without your soul not at rest. I mean, that guy was like, "Hey, would you wait here for me?" And he's like, "Yeah, dude, I'll wait for you." And then he died. He's
I
like,
mean, I'm not
"Shit."
gonna, I'm not gonna
Yeah,
lie to you. I mean, dying in this universe doesn't seem to take a lot to be you tethered,
I know, right?
and
The other
apparently
guy's
you
like,
don't go.
the other guy's
And
like, "Shit, I said I'd go back,
I guess another
and
thing
he's
too,
probably waiting for me."
a lot of the ghost rules that seem to apply in other universes don't seem to apply here too. Such as like if you stay in the human world and you're dead, you don't
Mhm.
go evil, or something else doesn't happen to you, or you get bound to hell at that point. Like none of that seems to apply here. You can just sit there for all you want, waiting for some friend to come back.
Yeah, some sort of weird purgatory thing.
So none of the normal rules apply here. But
Yeah.
pretty much we go in the next episode, and
Imagine if you like pulled into McDonald's and you ordered your food and you died before they gave it to you, and that was it. You were just tethered to this world until someone delivered your order to you.
I died here trying to get a Big Mac.
Damn it! I didn't want Chick-fil-A this bad.
Oh, yeah. Jeez. That's an
Sorry, I had to
inside
call
joke for
Nacho
everybody
out.
that's involved who doesn't know. We're not gonna talk about it, but the inside
We're
joke.
not.
But but essentially, the next episode we see Yamada taking that route through the graveyard because now he's cool with it because he's friends with the ghost there,
Uh-huh.
and thinking we're gonna see we end up seeing another character who Jock has officially adorned the Antichrist. Well, I already like I know for a fact that he isn't, but I'm not gonna say any more than that. But pretty much his name is Tao Ren. He ends up telling him that I'm looking for the boy with the samurai ghost. And Yamada brings up things back to saying that like Yo says that nobody who can see ghosts is bad.
Hmm.
At this point in the series, we've completely gotten strike out because that's not true. This guy seems very evil. At
Yeah.
least from the onset. We can clearly see in the intro though he ends up becoming friends with him at some point, not sure when. But that's one thing I would say I don't like about that intro is the fact that they really shouldn't be showing a lot of that. They should wait until like they come up in the show before we can see them in the
Yeah,
intro.
it's funny, but I started watching the intro and I thought it was giving too much away, and I like stopped watching the intro. So the stuff that you were telling me about the intro, like intentionally didn't watch the intro or the outro because
I wish you had told me that so I wouldn't have said anything.
no, it's
I I
fine, but
I
it
would have
just looked
just
like it
like
was packed with
I would have just taken the frustration I would have had and just waited.
it looked like it was packed with spoilers. So I tried to avoid it once I watched a little bit of it and I'm like, no, this is giving too much away, and then I let it go and I was like, I'll watch it when I'm deeper in the series.
They could have done what Hunter x Hunter did was I think wait until like the episode was over and then show the intro, but I don't know. I forgot
Mm,
what they did to circumvent that. But Princess Talrin, he's telling him, I'm looking for the boy with a samurai ghost, and it's just I want to talk with him. And Prince tells, Yo, do you know of another shaman that that has these Chinese ghosts? And Yo's like, No, I don't know anybody like that. Cut forward to later at night, they get confronted. Well, first they see the kid again, and he's about to get mugged because he decides to walk in front of a car as they're on the street. Classic Vegeta. But
mm-hmm.
but essentially he says like you're this is an eyesore. You're an eyesore. You're killing all the. I forgot what he says about the stars, but it seems the complete opposite of what Yo's idea of the stars was. But you're
Mm-hmm.
making it impossible to see the stars. You need to die and stuff like that. And as he's about to kill him, pretty much Yo stops him and his parents saying that if you want to talk, I'm willing to talk. They got a conversation. He says just lays it out on the line. Says I want your ghost. Yo says no, you're not gonna have him. This is my friend. That ticks him off, saying that ghosts are nothing but tools to shaman. And
Mm-hmm.
they go through this entire ordeal with like, is it right to use a ghost as a tool, or is it right to be friends with your ghost? And Prince Ren says that it's impossible. They have a fight. Ren overpowers him because like Ren has the ability.
And
I don't
they
know who
merge
the
without a
H.
fusion
I don't
dance.
know who the THG09 is, but that guy is an a hole.
Why? What happened?
Elastigirl quoted something that I said.
Oh,
I want your ghost. Jeez.
whoa! The
But
ghost of the most.
dang it. Okay. They have a fight. Clearly overpowers them, and he says like if you try to be friends with a ghost, you're not gonna be able to utilize. An obviously superior ghost is full abilities. Dang it, I was borrowing a stupid monocle. but but essentially he says that like, you can't do this because I can do it because I'm using my ghost as a tool. I'm not trying to be friends with it, and they have a fight. They go back and forth. Pretty much at the end of the fight, fix to summarize it all. Yo ends up going 100% with his ghost and ends up using a skill that I guess he couldn't use beforehand, and ends up beating Tao Ren, and this upsets him greatly. and he ends up going. He ends up walking away with his pants on, thankfully, because his shirt got ripped off.
Yeah, the characters like to. I don't understand the pretense that like people just casually go shirtless or with their shirt wide open in this series, like on the reg. Like you see it in the class, like they're walking into a classroom and like you see the big guy in the background just no shirt on, and then I'm like, oh my god, I thought they were gonna tell him to put his shirt on or something, and then they're like, we'd like to introduce you to a new student. The kid walks out and he's got his shirt unbuttoned, and I'm just like, why is this okay? Like, and is this a cultural thing I'm missing or something? Like, why is everybody just
It's a delinquent style. Yo is supposed to look like a delinquent.
I mean, even like during the fight and stuff like that, like they show that like his pants are low enough where his like groin line is starting to show, and I don't know how old that kid's supposed to be, but I think it's underage. It's really creepy.
Yeah, I try not to look that deep into it because like I just like the show. I like the concept of it at this point, and that's really all I really care about. Character
Well, I
designs are
mean, we've
character
seen other
designs.
things like showing Froppy's butt, and then the episode before this one and stuff like that was like a little uncomfortable when you think that she's 14, stuff like that. Like they do it plenty, but it's just like some of the moments here it's hard to like to suspend disbelief that they can just walk around with their shirt looking like that. But I guess if it's like a stylized choice, then that makes a little more sense.
I'm used to because I've seen a lot of animes that they have that. I mean, for crying out loud, like they don't do as far as I know. I don't think there's a character like this in this show, but there are others. There's a type. There's a stereotype of a teenage girl called a gal, and they're supposed to be like tan girls who have a lot of piercings. Over in Japan, it's like a style that girls like to choose, and I believe
Hmm.
it was a style that came over there because it was mimicking girls over here. So
Okay.
it was one of those things. That's one of those. It's a choice that a lot of times school kids adopt. Um, it's like one of the things like why you see like one of the things about like one of the things you want to talk about like is the designs of characters. Along with Froppy, Uraraka, even Yaoyorozu, their bodies are developed to the point where it's appealing to look at versus you're questioning how old they are because they obviously don't look the age because if but then you say that, but I knew a girl in sixth grade who was fully developed and it was really weird. But yeah,
Hi, Jeremy. I assume you're reading chat.
yeah. See, this is getting creepy. That's why I'm gonna move on after that. But it's just
Eliza
one.
Bar.
Yeah, so this is getting creepy. That was the last thing he said.
Okay.
But let's see here.
Well, whatever,
Uh,
Eliza Bar.
yeah, that fight. They pretty much Yo wins that fight and nearly gets himself killed. He ends up collapsing because during that fight he ends up having a flashback to when he was a kid, and
Okay.
as a kid he seems to be I guess not more than less unchanged. He isn't as carefree. I'm gonna take that back. I guess he's more or less unchanged as a little kid. But he essentially doesn't want to be a shaman. This is quite clear. He doesn't want to be a shaman. He doesn't like all the training. He just wants to he just wants to stay home and play video games. And stuff like that. He doesn't want to have a job and whatnot. Uh which I guess the no one I don't really understand too of his character. His character seems extremely lazy, and that much has changed as he's become a teenager. But I guess it's one of those things that is carried on with his character. It's quite clear that he's adept at using using spirits in their full power and whatnot. He's a good shaman based on what we can see. Uh,
Mm.
I wonder like what power level if there's power levels in this universe with shamans. If there's like an energy that you have to use,
I would
but
imagine their power depends on the spirits they harness and their skill and their like skill to integrate, and probably factors that have not been introduced in the anime yet.
possibly. I don't remember much about this show and how the fights go. Um, yeah, they had a flashback. We see a lot of Yo's motivation. He ends up at least based on the flashback, he ends up forgetting about this whole Shaman King thing and ends up waking up realizing that he wakes up in the hospital bed after Yamada and Amidamaru are like scared that he's dead.
Hmm.
Especially Amidamaru. That man's dead. He's worried about you being dead. Jeez. But essentially, Yana, like they're in the house. He wakes up, he puts his headphones back on, and saying, "Oh yeah, Shaman King. I forgot about that." And then episode 2 ends with an introduction of another character, introducing the first female character of Shaman King, Yo Asakura's fiance. I forgot her name. I think her name's Anna. Yeah, I think that's right, Anna. And Ayamada, the guy, the dwarf dude, ends up saying, "Who? I don't know who you think you are. They got the wrong room. You know, get out of here." And she slaps him across the room and says, "Don't you ever talk to me like that. I'm Yo's fiance." And I was like, and then they ended right there. And I'm like,
Yeah.
huh. So at
The
this
last
point,
minute plot twist is real, right?
I don't know. It's like a plot twist. I more say that that's just like random character they decided to throw in and give her some importance. They decide that she's supposed to marry him.
Well, it's a plot twist if you consider how untethered the character is, and now all of a sudden he's got something tying him down.
Never thought about
Because
that, but actually,
the whole essence of the character is that like everything falls off of him, you know.
I mean, well, based on how she walked in with that bag, it seems like he's been running away from her for a while.
I imagine it's more like wandering away, but yeah, I
I
see
mean,
it being
whatever.
more like a
I mean,
Goku
even
Chi Chi
tied
kind of
down,
situation, you know.
she hasn't really tethered him down yet. Like, based on at least how she walked in, it seemed like she was like, "It's about time I found you," type of thing. The way she wandered in,
Mm-hmm.
like she didn't even announce herself. She just kind of walked in and just said, "Like, what are you doing laying on your backside?" Like, I guess another comparison I can make is that's Chi Chi. But if Chi Chi
Yeah,
had more backbone,
totally Chi Chi.
scarily Chi Chi. But yeah. But she walks in and she introduces herself, and that's about it. Uh, don't remember much about her. Um, based on again the intro, she has pearls. I guess as her weapon. Don't know what that does. So I really don't know her significance towards Yo, other than that there's an arranged marriage, and she seems fine with it. I guess another thing too, she seems really fine with being in an arranged marriage. I guess she doesn't really care. Maybe that's another thing why she's with Yo. She doesn't care herself.
Mm-hmm.
I guess she could be carefree in her own way. I guess we'll learn more about that in episode 3. I guess because that's where they're hopefully gonna pick up.
Yeah, she
Unless
seems
this,
just more stubborn about the marriage than anything, I think. So obviously, like we found a new version of a rival that she's gonna be like, you know, and Chi Chi like. I did
jeez.
immediately think of Chi Chi.
I mean, I already thought about TJ because it's just like the whole wife thing and main character and on the marriage that either they didn't agree to or they don't want.
Mm-hmm.
In Goku's case, he accidentally agreed to a marriage. Don't know what happened with Yo and her. You said in the 14, I believe, like you said. So at some point, their parents must have like arranged, families must have arranged a marriage, something like that. And based on where this show is probably placed in timeline, it probably makes sense that there be arranged marriages for kids that young too. So, eh. But I think that's about it for that. That was the review for both series. I can't wait to watch more Shaman King because I've been waiting for this reboot. Since I heard about this reboot a year or two ago. That's mostly what I'm excited for because I want to see what the original story was about because I know according to the creator, he wasn't happy about the original take on the series. So we'll figure out what happens there. Most people probably
I
say
believe
that
you.
a creator getting involved with a series is a bad thing, but I don't think so. Film Alchemist turned out pretty good.
What turned out good?
Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood, the reboot to the original FMA.
If you may, you may.
Guess with that, I'm gonna end the podcast here because I don't know how to segue from that.
Hey,
Uh,
Game Hunter, you think
uh,
Frappy tastes like chicken?
I don't know. I don't eat frog legs. And in this case, definitely won't be eating frog legs.
I was trying to give you a segue to immediately end of stream.
Yeah, didn't work.
Apparently not. You're like intriguing. I had frog legs on my honeymoon with Jesse, just because we had a place that served them, and I thought that was interesting. And they tasted like they smell, and it was disgusting. I don't think they were made right, but they tasted terrible.
Ba-da-ba-ba-da-ba-da-ba-ba. We're ending the stream now.